Hello, hello. Welcome to Reading Time. My name's Time, and this week we're reading The Wonderful Wizard of Oz by L. Frank Baum. Let's get to reading. The Wonderful Wizard of Oz is a novel about a girl named Dorothy who is sucked up in a cyclone, a tornado, and brought to a magical land called Oz. During the course of her adventure, she makes many odd friends and tries to find a way back to her home in Kansas. The book also features a variety of pictures and images that you can see on most of the pages of the various characters. If you have seen the Wizard of Oz film, then you are already very familiar with a lot of the plotline of this book. Although I will say that the film adaptation did take out some chunks of the storyline, as well as changing some of the details. For example, Dorothy's iconic red slippers in the film are actually silver in the book, among other changes that will come in any adaptation of a book. For the story, I am going to give it 4 stars. It was a good book. I already enjoyed the film, and so I enjoyed the book as well. And this might just be because I saw the film multiple times before reading the book, but the parts that were taken out of the book for the film were actually the parts I liked the least. But I don't know if that's just an adaptation bias or not. It wasn't quite a 5-star book for me though, while I did find it enjoyable and a good tale, and I would recommend it. It just didn't quite fit my tier for 5 stars. There is content to be aware of in this book. First off, we do have examples of violence throughout the book. For example, the backstory of the Tin Man is relatively violent, as it is revealed that the Wicked Witch cursed his axe to chop off his various body parts until he was eventually made entirely out of tin. Additionally, there are some fight scenes in the book with some people getting injured or killed, and Dorothy does accidentally kill 2 witches in the book, so there definitely is some violence there as well, even though it wasn't intentional on Dorothy's part. For reading level for this book, I would put it at a 3rd to 5th grade reading level. The story is pretty straightforward, but it does deal with some ideas that might be complex enough to discuss at that age, while still being simple and straightforward and relatively easy to understand. Now, in this story, Dorothy comes across 3 companions. She finds a scarecrow, a tin man, and a lion. And each of them also wants something. So Dorothy wants to get back to her home in Kansas. She makes friends with a scarecrow who wants a brain so that he can think marvelous thoughts, a tin man who wants a heart because he used to be in love with a woman, and then as he was cursed by the Wicked Witch and eventually was made out of tin, he no longer has a heart. And then finally, the cowardly lion who wants to be courageous to show that he should be the king of the beasts. Now, this group of travelers goes on a quest to seek the city of Oz and the great Wizard of Oz. Throughout their travels, they come across various obstacles, and as you're reading, it actually seems to be the case that although the Scarecrow, Tin Man, and Lion claim to not have certain qualities, they end up showing those qualities through their decision making. For example, while the Scarecrow laments about not being intelligent, he ends up being the one who makes some of the most intelligent decisions to help them solve the problems they're in. And while the Tin Man claims to not have a heart, he ends up being the most compassionate of the group. So this could be a point where you could, if you were to teach this, have students make inferences about the characters using evidence from the text. Especially as they keep reading in the book, you could have students keep track of the 4 main characters and what qualities they have. And then they could make sure that they're pairing quotes with those qualities to support the claim that they're making. This book would also be a good one to discuss what makes a person good or bad, and the fluidity of morality that we often see in books. For example, is Oz a good man even though he might be a fraud? Or what about Dorothy? She's a little girl, and even though it was accidental, she did kill 2 people. What makes a person's actions good or evil? And those discussion points might be a little too heavy for a 3rd to 5th grade audience, so that might be a way that you could incorporate the text into older age groups. For the poster square for this week, we are right near the bottom right here with Dorothy in her iconic double braids. Let me know what you think of The Wonderful Wizard of Oz in the comments below. Have you read the book before? And have you read the series? This is actually book 1 of a series, although I do not plan on reading the rest of the series right now. I might pick it up at some point. Let me also know if you have any other book recommendations. And if you are interested in following along with what I'm reading, feel free to follow me on Facebook or Instagram. And subscribe if you are not already. As always, I hope that you have a marvelous week and a wonderful read.